Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, James. Good morning. How's it going?
I'm excited about today. Doing real good.
Yeah, I'm excited too. You know what? In your intro there, you mentioned about peeling back to reveal the true.
That's right. And listen, it's all smoke and mirrors most of the time, right? So business people.
Well, even today's guests. I know that our guest's name isn't the same as the business that it's represented.
It's all right.
And we'll get into that.
We'll just jump right into that. The nice thing about being able to kind of chat through these things is that we can have some really great ideas, but we really stink when it comes to some certain things. So we get to have some really nice, influential, smart people who have been in part of this community for a long time. And I'm really excited about today. We actually got this guest from our friend Dr. Joe Baker, Baker Family Chiropractics, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago. Thank you, Dr. Joe. I'm sure you're listening to this. And actually, I've been talking to John, the barber. Hopefully, he'll get him on soon. So he has some good things to say about you. And so we probably should let her talk because let me get the applause. Hold on. I'd like to introduce Tricia Hage from Charlie's Bakery and Creamery. See, I'm old school. Charlie's Bakery and Creamery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was raised here, so it always was Charlie's Bakery. And then you came.
And I am curious. Did you ever think for a moment? I'm going to call this.
Let her say hi.
Tricia's Bakery.
Good.
Hi, I'm Tricia Hage, owner of Charlie's Bakery and Creamery.
Yes.
And I decided to change the name just because it didn't reflect what we were going to be doing. But I didn't want to take anything away from the original. And actually, for being honest, the original name was Charlie's Gourmet Pastries.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And it was started back in 1971, and it morphed into Charlie's Bakery. I don't know how, I don't know when, but we all knew it as Charlie's Bakery. All of the labeling, everything in the store said Charlie's Bakery.
And it's been in that same location since 71?
Yes.
Really? So those who don't know, some other, maybe not be in the Conway area, but Charlie's Bakery and Creamery is Curry Ford, kind of just Crystal Lake. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's basically the corner.
Yeah. And I've raised kids there. I've gone to church in that area. So
business.
It's been part of my life for a long time.
Cornerstone of the community for 50 plus years.
51.
Yeah. And I heard that the previous owner sold and they changed, and I heard the ice cream is amazing. So I'm like, I'm so happy to have you here. So
thank you.
So I want to dig into this story. I want to kind of dig into like how you decided that I just want to be this business owner, but I know you've got a lot of history. Why don't you take a second to kind of catch us up on what you want to say, at least, of where you came from and how you and your husband are doing all these kind of cool things.
Well, I guess I was born in Orlando at Orange Memorial Hospital is what it used to be called. Mm-hmm. My husband was too, and we were both born and raised here. I lived off of Briarcliff.
Wow, okay.
When I was first born, a child, and then basically my parents moved to Tuscaloosa. And then they got separated and divorced. And so my life kind of got a little bit crazy. Mm-hmm. And I ended up dropping out of high school my sophomore year because I needed to work so I could make money and support myself.
Yep.
And then I ended up getting my GED at Mid-Florida Tech. Okay. And my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time, Troy, he had graduated from Boone in 1994. And then he wanted to go learn a trade. So he went to Mid-Florida Tech for paint and auto body.
Oh.
So his first business was painting cars, and he wanted to paint his car. So he was like, well, better place to do it is at school. I can basically do it for free.
Right.
So he learned a trade, and he fixed his car, and I met him there. And then we actually didn't see each other for an entire year. I just had kind of casually introduced myself because I thought he was really cute. Mm-hmm. A year later, I got a phone call, and they said they were at his house, and I had remembered that he was really good looking, and I didn't want to go that night because there was too many people. So the next day, caller ID had just came out, and I had his number, and I called, and his mom answered. We went on a date, and that was it.
Oh, nice.
We got married at 20. I was 20, and he was 23. And he started a lawn maintenance company after, several years of being in paint and auto body. And he worked for his dad doing irrigation. His dad was self-employed, Bruce Hage Irrigation.
Okay.
But he wanted to do something on his own. So he started mowing grass, and I ended up working with him. And that was the first business that we worked together. And ever since, every business we've ever owned, we've always worked together. I think I was more of his Robin, and he was always Batman.
Yeah, that's kind of rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
A husband and wife, they're just multiple businesses and always working together.
And to get along.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my wife, and she works with us, but to be in the same vicinity all day, every day, I think it's difficult. Do you have an issue with that?
I mean, it's a challenge for me. If you ask my husband, he'll say it's a piece of cake. It's a walk in the park. It's his answer every single time someone asks him, because that does frequently come up.
Sure, I bet.
I feel differently. I think it's just because I'm so hard-headed and kind of stubborn, and I see things a certain way. And he was always my boss. And all these businesses, lawn maintenance, we did construction where he got his general contractor's license. We built houses, actually right across the street from the bakery next to Zaza's.
Okay.
There's a street called Crocker with 6 homes. We built them all out.
Wow.
And then the market crashed.
Right.
But he's always been the leader of the ship.
Yeah.
So I always just followed his direction. If he said, this is what we're going to do, and I would be like, okay, sure. Because we always made money. And growing up the way that I did, money was important to me, because if you don't have it, you realize that it's a lot easier when you do.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, they say money can't buy happiness, but
it makes it easier.
it does make it a little at least once you're past a certain threshold, it helps. So
And I remember when I met him, one of the best qualities about him was he's so loyal to his friends, to his family. He is got so much integrity. He would never, ever do anything that would hurt his reputation. He would even lose money if he thought that someone was going to feel like they were slighted. And I never agreed with that, but we have to make decisions based on our personal beliefs.
Sure.
And so I always just agreed that we would just decide to do the right thing at the end of the day, right? It's better to everyone to be okay with the situation than to feel like someone was slighted.
yeah, singing our song here. We like that. That's
Absolutely.
I like him already. Not even met him yet.
So he is fantastic. And he, I think, had so many of the qualities that I wanted in a husband and a father of my children. We were not able to have children. We did a lot of the things that you go through to try to achieve pregnancy, and it didn't work out for us. And it was hard. That was a struggle in our marriage, but it was a decision that we made together. And we decided that if it wasn't meant to be, then that was okay. We were going to move on, and we would help in other ways. We would, find other purposes.
Yeah.
And that's what we've chosen to do. We did raise my sisters, both of them, for different periods in their life to help them get where they needed to go. So I feel like, that was a positive that came out of us not having children.
Yeah.
We were able to do more. And then essentially one business changed into the next. We had lawn maintenance. We grew it to a certain point. We sold our commercial properties to a commercial company. We sold our residential properties to someone who wanted to start up their own company. And then we decided to go into construction. The market was booming in 2005, 2006. We started building houses. We were making really good money. I was designing them, decorating them. I had my real estate license. I got my broker's license. I was selling them. It was the best time we've ever had. I enjoyed that because I'm super creative. And my sister, Danielle, lived with us at the time, and she was turning 16, and I ended up making a cake. And I went on YouTube, and I watched about, 30 videos on how to do fondant and how to do fancy cakes. And I thought, you know what? When I was 16, I would have loved to have a really awesome cake.
Right.
And I was like, and this is awesome. So it took me way too long to do it. I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I could have probably paid someone and spent half the money. But it was the process that I loved. So that was kind of my first inkling that, oh man, I didn't realize I could do this and how fun it is. And people make money making cakes, right? So that kind of made me look at maybe that would be a possibility in the future. But then we got, the market crashed, or whatever you want to call it. The bubble happened. And there were so many houses that were for sale, we couldn't compete with the market. We couldn't buy land cheap enough. So my husband pivoted, because that's what we do, and we started working for Wells Fargo as a general contractor, cleaning out the foreclosures.
Really?
So I would physically go with 1 or 2 people, get a dumpster, clean them out, hire the guy to replace the carpet, get it in shape for the bank to sell it, essentially.
So homes that have been foreclosed upon, You guys would go in and get them all cleaned up.
And so we would just basically schedule 2 or 3 demos a week and get them fixed up so the bank could sell them. And it helped us stay afloat through the time that was basically the recession.
Yeah, it was a tough time.
Yeah.
My husband, one of his key saying is that doesn't matter how much money you make, it matters how much money you keep.
It's true.
So we are very thrifty and we are very frugal. We spend money where we believe it's necessary, but we save a lot more than we spend.
Nice.
Because I would like to retire one day and not be struggling my whole life. So that's kind of been our goal. So that's the one thing we always agree on, no matter what, is we both want to retire and be able to do things we want to do. And if we have to sacrifice now, then so be it.
Right. Very cool. And so you worked in the construction side of that business for several years then.
And then once we got out of the foreclosure work, actually the guy that was doing the pavers on the houses that we were building, he wanted to sell his business. And he had hounded my husband for years, going like, you should buy my paver company. You know, you're doing foreclosures, but pavers is it. And he had some accounts with some big pool companies. So he was doing a lot of business, but his business model wasn't fantastic. So my husband could see the flaws, and he made us an offer we couldn't resist. So we ended up getting into pavers. So we basically went from building homes, foreclosures, straight into a paver business. And let me tell you something. We grew that business from a little tiny business to a really profitable, very well-run company, and we sold it. And I think it was last year or the year before. I think it was last December. And my husband has never been happier. Wow. And when we were in the process of selling it, he said, you get to pick the next business.
That's fun.
And I was like, I want to start a dessert shop. And so we bought an ice cream machine and we brought it home. And for like 8 months, we were like making ice cream and peddling it to all of our family and friends. And be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? How is this flavor? And we were still working. You know, the business took a long time to close. It was, during COVID.
Yep.
And the bank loans were difficult. So it was kind of like trying to get everything done, but it took forever. And in the process of us making ice cream, we were looking for a location to put our dessert shop in. And we live, like I said, off Conway Road in Curry Ford. And we didn't want to be too far away. My biggest thing was I didn't want to have a really long commute to work every day because it's a drag.
Sure.
So we were looking for something close, and we just couldn't find the right location. My husband, being the entrepreneur that he is, always looking at the business journals and different businesses for sale, and he's just always looking. And he came across this ad one day, and it said something to the effect of 50-year-old bakery for sale, blah, 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 blah. And he looked at me and he said, there's only one 50-year-old bakery. And he said, it's Charlie's. And if it is, we're going to buy it. And I was like, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of work. And he's like, yes, but there's so much potential. Think about the clients that he already has, the history, the products, the people he already has in place. If we start something from scratch, we have to obtain those customers.
Right.
Do you know how long it's going to take us for people to realize we're even there? He's like, that's why so many restaurants and businesses go out so quickly, because you have to have that repeat business in order to stay.
Right.
And he's already got that down. So we would be saving ourselves a lot of headache, because we've started businesses from scratch and we've purchased other people's, and it is by far easier to fix other people's mistakes than it is to start from scratch.
Well, in franchising, which is what we're into now with our business, we say we're going to start you on second base rather than at home plate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you've already got
it. Really resonates with me. It's singing my song completely, because that's a great idea, and such a trusted brand in the community. Like I said earlier, Charlie's has been part of countless birthdays and anniversaries and celebrations, because everyone goes to Charlie's for desserts.
They do.
They all go to Charlie's, especially in that neighborhood. People travel from all across Orlando just to make sure they go get something from there.
And it's amazing.
So I'm curious, what did it look like? What did it feel like kind of sliding into the driver's seat over there?
Well, I'll tell you, I have never shied away from being the captain. But this was the most challenging situation I was ever put in.
Okay.
And I know that I had agreed to everything in the beginning, but your perception versus reality can change immensely.
Okay.
So I think in my head, I saw this great business, but I didn't really know the guts of it. You know, I knew we made lots of desserts and lots of cakes and lots of items, but I didn't really understand the depth of what we were doing until I had to get in there. And the owner, he was gracious enough to work with me for 2 weeks and try to teach me as much as he could, but he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that because I'm not really great at people telling me what to do. I'd rather just figure it out on my own. And I did, but not with a lot of struggle. And I'll be honest, when I walked in there, the owner had told the employees the morning of that I showed up. I was there like 15 to 30 minutes after they had just been told that he's never coming back.
Oh, my goodness.
And I have a whole bunch of people looking at me with shock and they're very upset. And I can see the disdain on their face. And they don't know if they're going to have a job. They don't know what's going to happen. There's so much up in the air. And so I could see the fear. And so here I am coming in thinking like, this is going to be great. And I'm so upset because they're so upset.
Right.
So the first thing I had to do was I'm super honest, probably to a fault. And I just came in there and said, hi, I'm Tricia. Let's just make the best of the situation. You guys have no idea who I am. I said, but I have no intentions of getting rid of anyone. I said, you guys, I'm sure all do great. I need to figure out what's going on. So if you can help me learn, then we'll be a great team. And that's essentially what we did. Because as soon as I started opening up these recipe books and realizing they weren't recipes, they were ingredients.
Right.
So I'm looking at this and I don't know how to make pâte à choux. I don't even know what pâte à choux is. Apparently, it's Eclair dough,
Right.
which I know now. But everything that we had to learn was me learning from doing and with the employees' help. Because honestly, I was like a deer in headlights.
Right. Now, did that group of employees stay with you?
Yes,
You won them over.
I retained almost all of them.
Oh, that's terrific.
And it was a challenge. And I think a long time they were scared. And I looked at them probably after like the first month of me going, where do I find this? What is this? What do we do with this? Well, do you know how many pie shells this makes? And everyone's looking at me like they don't know, or they know where the object is, but they don't really know what I'm asking as far as, you know, when you have a recipe, if you looked at any recipe that says how many, you know, if it makes 24 cookies.
Yeah. And then you put it in at this temperature for this length of time.
Correct. But because they were so old school, they had been doing it for 42 years or 50 years. They knew. They didn't have to write it down. So those things were the missing ingredient for me.
So how steep was that learning curve?
I will say that I had asked the employees to just give me 3 months. I said, I'm really good at learning. I'm a quick learner.
You're certainly motivated.
And I'm not a quitter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hard it is. And I think that won them over. I think me getting down in the trenches, down and dirty, I mean, there was nothing I wasn't willing to do.
Okay.
And I just had to learn. But it was the absolute worst thing I've ever done because we were going into Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And I am going to tell you that my feet hurt, my legs hurt, I had burns, I had bruises.
So was this 7 days a week?
Well, Thanksgiving, pretty much November through Christmas Day, you're going to work almost every single day.
And then how many hours a day is that?
I mean, you get there at 7 and you probably don't leave until a minimum of 7. And the closer it gets to the holiday, like this past year, I think it was like the night before Christmas Eve, we were there till 9 at night.
Wow.
Because you have clients and customers that they rely on your baked goods for their holiday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't want to say no.
Nope.
Yeah.
And you don't want to disappoint.
And you don't want to disappoint. So you are going to do everything in your power to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. And I may have let other people go home that night, but we stayed because everybody needs a break. But the only person that cannot let this fail is me because I'm the captain of the ship. And if it goes down, we all go down.
Right.
So was there a piece of this, like you got that far in and said, what have I done?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I probably came home at least once a week and almost just sat on the floor and cried because I felt like I was failing. I felt like I was failing myself. I felt like I was failing the employees. I felt like I was failing the customers because you want to make sure that everyone is happy.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that everybody is, content with the position that they're in, or the customer is happy with the wait time that they had, or the product that they received. And it's hard enough to take over a business that was so renowned and so well liked, and everyone knew the old owner and had a rapport with them. And then they have this new person coming in, and it's like I had to tear down these walls that I was changing everything and that I was not going to do as good of a job. And it's hard when you feel like you're giving everything and that people are just still really mean. And so I just tried to do everything I could to minimize that.
So did you make physical changes to the restaurant itself?
So my original plan was to add a bathroom and seating.
Okay.
And so that was part of that, my reality versus what was actually going to be capable.
Right.
So when I had originally thought out this plan, my plan was a handicap bathroom, because in order to have seating, you have to have an ADA accessible bathroom or an ADA compliant bathroom. So essentially, when I got in there that very first month and then going into November and December, I looked at Troy and I said, there's no way. There's no way possible that we can lose 1 inch of space in there, because the amount of people in that store during the month of November and December is ridiculous. You can't just have tables in the way and put in a bathroom. We need every inch of space that we have. We actually need more space than we have.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
So I said, okay, scratch that plan. I said, let's just remodel the front and make it look new, because no matter how much people loved the original Charlie's, I am the new owner. And I wanted to make changes to reflect my personality and my spin on things.
Sure.
But it did not in any way mean that I was going to throw away the recipes or just scrap what he had started.
Right.
You don't go buy Chick-fil-A and then change the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. But there's no, we do it around here a lot. We did a podcast about refreshing a few months ago. I believe that when there is a change, make a physical change too. So there's a change in personnel and leadership. We make a physical change. But it could be just be painting the office. It could be repositioning the furniture. But making a shift to make that change at the same time, it helps solidify to the employees and the customers that, oh, there's a little bit, something's going on that's different.
Yeah, and we actually called it leveling up.
Yeah, leveling up.
We just want to level up.
And I honestly believe that was the best thing that I did, was because I didn't want the customers to believe that I was trying to keep it a secret, that the change of guard hadn't happened. I wanted them to know, you're right, it has changed, and I am the new owner. But the key items, the things that made Charlie's special, I did not get rid of. And there's a big misconception, because I have people constantly emailing me, and especially in the very beginning, come in and they were very upset when I removed items from the menu. But what they don't understand is that from a business standpoint, I had the years of records from the previous owner, and we had to take that into account of what's selling and what is not selling.
Right.
And unfortunately, there was products that were not selling. Maybe there were customers that came in and that's all they ever bought from Charlie's. And maybe they did drive 20 minutes to get this one item, but it wasn't enough to keep that item.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can't make 1 or 2 items a day of something just to keep it there. It's not profitable. It's not a wise business decision.
Throw it away.
Yeah, and it's regrettable that you ever have to disappoint a customer. It's truly regrettable. No business wants to do that. But your point is well taken. If you have to manage the business, and if it isn't financially viable for a business, you're not going to be in business very long. You're not going to be making anything for anybody.
And I honestly believe that change is part of business.
Agreed.
You have to grow. You have to adapt to the things that are happening. You have to recognize that there's products that are maybe not popular anymore. Maybe at one time it was the most popular, but as time changes, people change, and the market for what people want changes. There's so many vegan bakeries now, and sugar-free items, and gluten-free and dairy-free. But back in the 70s, there was no such thing. You got real butter. You got,
that's right.
all of these things
Lard.
It's just what they used, right? And now people are more health conscious.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, did you bring in some items of your own? I do know that you did the Creamery.
Yes.
You added that in, and I think I understand your husband was really kind of heading up the ice cream. Is that accurate?
He is definitely the ice cream department.
Yeah.
It was something I couldn't take on with all my responsibilities doing the day-to-day operations in the kitchen and making sure that staff. He essentially is the ice cream man.
So is that like developing the recipes and actually producing the ice cream, or do you have it produced
Nope.
outside?
We make it there.
You
It's
all make-
homemade. We come up with the recipes. We usually do a lot of, I guess, testing batches in the kitchen. Everybody that works there is going to have to try ice cream. It is
Shame.
part of the job.
Oh,
So what's your
shucks.
favorite ice cream?
It's kind of it's a trick question because I love ice cream and
Okay.
I love desserts.
All right.
And I think that all desserts are good, but I have like different phases I go through. So I'm not a chocolate person. Like I don't go and eat chocolate candy bars.
Right.
But I love things like gummy bears and gummy worms
Mm-hmm.
and those types of things. So at my bakery, if I'm going to eat something that's a baked item, I usually go with like chocolate chip cookies or our cheesecakes.
Well, let me ask you this. Which of the ice creams is the most popular? What do you sell the most of?
Well, that's also it varies from month to month, but
Okay.
we do
Oh, that's it.
we do have a couple top sellers. Our dairy free is usually like our key lime pie. We have 6. We normally keep 6 dairy. We have 24 flavors total, and we
ice cream,
normally
okay.
keep 6 dairy free. Our dairy free flavors, almond joy, is very popular.
Really?
It was one of the first things we started with.
We need to stop by and try
A
that.
coconut-based ice cream?
It's coconut based ice cream. And my husband has done a fantastic job of he's a researcher.
Mm-hmm.
He's the opposite of me. I like to wing things a little bit. He likes to research everything until the end of time. So he has found a way to make ice creams that do not have coconut taste like coconut.
That is amazing.
So it won't taste like coconut if it's not coconut. So does that make sense? No, that doesn't make
no,
sense.
that doesn't.
So it's coconut based, but he's disguised the flavor.
Okay, I understand.
So like
that
he'll
makes
do
sense.
a dark chocolate ice cream, dairy free.
Yep.
But you won't really taste the coconut.
So using the coconut milk instead of dairy.
Yes.
Yes,
I
gotcha.
like it.
But
I'm
he's
tracking.
disguising the coconut flavor because there's a lot of people that say, I don't really like coconut that much.
You're looking at one right here.
Oh,
don't
I
like
love coconut. Yeah.
And so it's crazy to me how many people say they don't like coconut and
Yeah.
then they try the dairy free ice cream before they know that it's coconut based and they won't believe that it has coconut in it.
Yeah.
So I think
That
that's
is amazing.
That's cool.
So you kind of had free reign though with the creamery
Correct.
items because
Correct.
you brought those. But have you integrated any new items on the bakery side? Are you innovating there?
Absolutely. So I did have to cut some of the items from his menu that were not popular. But what I did is if there was a recipe that was not successful or didn't have a certain amount of sales throughout the past year, I decided to just do a trial basis. So I get rid of it and bring something in its place. So I took an item away and replaced it with another item.
Okay.
Like kind. So if it was a cookie, I added a few and I took a few away. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Some of them were like Troy's family's recipes, Troy's mom. It's actually her chocolate chip cookie recipe that we're using.
All right. And it's good because,
You had one.
and I'm going to take a moment to make a confession. I'm not a sweets guy. So I'm not often in the sweet shops. But I told my wife this weekend, we're going to have Tricia on the show this week. And I said, I don't really know a lot about Charlie's Bakery. Let's go do a little, spying over there.
Some recon.
And if I might, when we got there, that shop was so clean and so tight and fresh. Like you said, you guys renovated the front, right? And it is really clean. All the products were well displayed. The display cases were spotless. The ice cream area, spotless. And there was a girl, you told me her name, Michaela. Of course, she doesn't have any idea who I am. Not that I'm anybody, but she was so patient. She answered every question. She was really knowledgeable. You're running a tight ship over there. You've got a good crew. The place is just terrific.
Thank you. We try really hard.
And not a sweets guy.
But wait, there's more.
The Eclair that I got, and I did hear that you actually make those yourself, right?
Well, I make part of the process. It is
Okay.
everything that we make there. People don't realize how time consuming some of that stuff is.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, to make the eclairs, like you have to make pâte à choux, which is that recipe I mentioned earlier. So it starts off, you got to make the dough, and then you got to pipe it out,
Yeah.
and then you've got to bake it, and then you got to poke the holes, and then you have to make the custard, and then you have to fill it with custard.
Well, the
And
one that
then
your
you have
shop
to-
sold to me was well done. It was
There's
delicious.
chocolate on top too, right?
then chocolate.
Yeah, okay.
Thick.
Checking.
I
Listen,
mean, it is,
it's-
but I mean,
it's
like,
no excuse me layer of chocolate. It's substantial.
Yeah.
It was really
I'm
good.
a huge Eclair fan. I like if I'm going to a donut shop, it's a Boston cream or an Eclair. It's just then they're kind of the same thing, just elongated.
I mean, actually, the difference is what's the filling. So you can do like a whipped cream filling, or you can do a custard.
Gotta be custard.
And so we make a homemade custard because we use it in so many products. I mean, we have a Napoleon that's filled with custard, the Eclairs, our Boston cream pies. I'm sure there's things I'm missing. Coconut cream pie.
We
cups.
should place an order.
Well, the one,
We should-
absolutely.
we-
My wife Mary tried the strawberry cake, I think.
Strawberry shortcake.
Terrific. That was good. And I also got a chocolate chip cookie.
Yep.
And it was just fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we try to have the biggest selection possible. I mean, I think that's what sets us apart. And I think that's what what drew me to Charlie's, is because it has a little bit of everything. And if you get cake, why wouldn't you want ice cream? So there's so many advantages. If you just go to your run-of-the-mill ice cream shop, you're going to, not everybody likes ice cream. Not everybody wants that. So I think we just offer so much more than our competitors.
Right.
Or other people that sell.
And so you've been in charge there for coming up on a couple of years now?
It'll be 2 years in September. And we've made a lot of internal changes as far as like getting our recipe books up to speed and just overall guidelines.
Well, I'm sure you had to document things that weren't documented before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were documented up to a certain point, but I needed more logistics. I need to know how much does this recipe yield, because in Christmas and Thanksgiving, you don't have time to make this batch 18 times. You need to figure out, okay, I need to make
A huge batch.
800 apple pies. What will get me there?
Oh, my goodness.
Ready to start your own business? How would you like a jumpstart? Hole-in-the-Wall Drywall Repair is now offering franchise opportunities for strong entrepreneurs. When you franchise with Hole-in-the-Wall, we help you get up, running, and ready to start generating revenue fast. You get access to our comprehensive training program, continued support, and our proven business model that has allowed us to experience explosive growth. Achieve financial success while providing a valuable service to your community. Take the first steps towards achieving your entrepreneurial dreams. Go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.
Let's talk about numbers for a second. You said 800 apple pies. Is that a real number?
It is a real number.
My goodness.
All right, give me some more numbers. What else are you selling crazy amounts of?
I mean, apple pie is probably, but our biggest seller of all is Parker House rolls.
Really?
And it is a
For
roll
holidays, it's got to be,
that is a staple. And I think we did like 860 dozen Parker House rolls.
So is that a sweetbread?
No, I mean, I think it's closest related to the King's Hawaiian roll.
Oh, okay.
But not sweet. It's more of a yeasty roll.
It almost reminds me of like
Yeah.
the Quincy's Big Fat Yeast Roll kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I have to keep
Parker
that
House
in mind
rolls
for the
is-
holidays.
oh, it's-
Do you
yeah.
do that all year round, or is that just a holiday item?
So it is something that is a very challenging item for me to make, but it is a staple of Charlie's. So
Yeah.
I will not be getting rid of it.
Okay.
The biggest hurdle that I face is it's so labor intensive. I don't think people understand the amount of time it takes. I believe there's 13 steps to get it from dough to packaged.
Wow.
It is very time consuming. I mean, if you ask anyone that has worked in Charlie's in the past 50 years, Parker House rolls it's very time consuming. They will be there. I mean, you have to think about Thanksgiving. Nobody wants old rolls. So you may spend 24 to 48 hours doing nothing but rolls.
My goodness.
So logistically, you have everybody and their cousin in there making these items.
Do you make them like pre-order? Like if you want Parker House,
We
you get
do.
them pre-order.
And we have to cut off orders. And that's
Yeah.
where it gets tricky
Oh,
because
I'll
you
bet.
never want to disappoint your customers.
Yeah.
So you have to have, okay, I know that I can make 860 dozen in 48 hours. And that is going to entail me cutting off orders once I get to 700 because I have to sell in the store too.
Sure.
Because all the people that did not order are going to come
gonna-
into
yeah,
the
they're gonna
store.
walk
They're going
in
to
for
wait
it.
in line. So I try on any holiday that is large like Thanksgiving, and I try to have 50 dozen a day to sell. So that has to figure into my total Parker House because not only is it time consuming, but storage.
Yeah.
I mean, we only have so many coolers.
Yeah, and they've got a shelf life.
And we only have so many freezers. And we have a lot of other products we sell. I mean, if you're selling, I think we did like 800 pies altogether, but I think 600 were like apple. And then you have like 200 cherry and maybe like 50 blueberry and 50 peach. And
Sorry, I'm an apple pie guy. If you were to ask my family, what's your favorite pie? It's a crumb top, apple pie or an apple pie. That's grandma,
I like
right?
pie,
so
too.
apple pie is a grandma pie to me. It's been one of those things that I've had.
It's a
for
comfort
years.
food. She had me from Eclair, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but for holidays,
It's
just
true.
a
Yeah.
delicious apple pie. I haven't had a Charlie's apple pie in a while. I want to come back and get one.
So you kind of talked about some of the challenges you've had, taking over the business. Tell us about a big win you've had. Tell us something that we thought, let's try this, and it really did work out for you.
well, the ice cream. Honestly,
Okay.
when we added the ice cream, it was a slow start. And I had a lot of not the best feedback from some customers.
Yeah.
They come in and they tell you, we don't need another ice cream shop. Charlie's was fine without it. But we really believed that we were offering something different because you can buy ice cream anywhere and there's a lot of competition, but we make super premium ice cream,
Okay.
which is what sets us apart from other ice cream. And we're getting ready to do a large campaign on what super premium ice cream is. And essentially, you have to have a couple guidelines. For ice cream to be considered ice cream, it has to be 10% higher of milk fat or butter fat. If it's under 10%, it cannot be called ice cream. It has to be called like soft serve or other things. The second thing is overrun. And overrun is the amount of air that is churned into the ice cream. And the more overrun you have, the more air that gets pumped into the ice cream. We essentially have a 50% or less overrun. So when other companies are doing 100% overrun, they put 1 gallon of ice cream in, they get 2 gallons out
Right.
Wow. Okay.
because they're pumping in so much
Pumping
air.
Yeah.
So we're getting basically 1.5 to everyone's 2.
Okay.
And so that makes us super premium because you're getting less air. You're basically, our campaign is eat less air. And so people will go and research what that means. And we're going to have a whole story behind how to explain what overrun is and what the difference is between regular ice cream and super premium. And super premium is just a more creamy, a more rich, a more flavorful texture in your mouth. And it's more filling because you're getting less air,
Right.
essentially.
Wow. I think that's going to be a great campaign. So it was a slow start, but you're gaining momentum with it now.
Yeah, so basically the first year we were pretty slow, but our sales have already doubled from what they were this time last year.
Really? Okay.
And throughout all the years of the history that we had from the previous owner, summer was their slowest time.
Wow.
So their sales were always just not the best in summer.
Okay.
So it was the worst 3 months of their 12-month histories.
Now, do you have seasonal items that just kind of come and go certain times of year?
Yes, we have started to do Christmas in July, which happens to be July, and we make gingerbread men. And we usually have Santa's White Christmas ice cream, which is like based off of the coffee Santa's White Christmas, which is coconut flavored ice cream. It's non-dairy. We've made it both ways. This time it's regular. So it just seems a better fit.
Right.
But I mean, we just do some things like that.
Maybe the things that you had canceled because they didn't sell, you could feature them. Like, we're going to do a feature of this Danish or whatever.
I could.
Or not.
I could, but it's hard when you have so many items on your menu.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem that we have is because everything is so labor intensive to bring in a new item.
Right.
If you're only using this product for that one item, it's not cost effective. So essentially, I would have to charge more for a product,
Yeah.
and then people would be unhappy because they'd say, "Oh, well, the old price was." But in order for it to be really cost effective, to be able to maintain what we do and to stay in business, we have to really look at the numbers too, because it is about making money.
So is it dairy free? That's not the same as vegan? So,
No,
so
it
it's
is
not
not.
vegan ice cream.
Correct.
Do you have any vegan items actually in the menu?
We do not. We actually, we kind of stayed truer to our roots in the
Yeah.
sense that we use real sugar, so we don't have a lot of sugar-free items. We have a dietetic cheesecake, which is sugar-free, but we really did stick to the roots of the bakery. The ice cream, we did do the dairy-free stuff just because there's a big market for people that can't eat dairy.
Yeah.
And my husband is one of those people, so
Interesting.
There you go.
And he's the ice cream guy.
he
That's
is. He's the ice cream guy.
ironic.
So he's making these flavors so he can eat them as well.
Yeah.
But that was an avenue that we thought we could go down because
Yeah.
it was worth it, and it kind of fits along with what we do already.
That's not all dairy free, just a few.
Just a few, six flavors out of the 24 are dairy free, and we do store bays too, but just it's more of a limited thing. We really enjoy it. I mean, honestly, the bakery and the creamery as a whole
Yeah.
is a great business. We have a great team, front of house and back of house. Like I said, we retained most of the employees that came with the original bakery when I took it over. And I think for the most part, everybody really loves what they do. And we take pride in what we do. We want that customer to come in and be so excited.
Yeah, and I feel like that shows. That's what I saw when I visited. Now, you mentioned that you really tried to stay true to the company's roots. But what do you see on the horizon? What's the next couple of years? What are you excited about?
Well, I think right now we would love to be able to maybe put some of our desserts in restaurants. You know, that would be a nice way to venture into getting us out there a little bit further. We would love to have a large enough shop that we could have seating.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if that means we would move locations if something came available within like a 1 mile radius, because we know that if we move out of a certain area, people are going to be upset.
Sure, you want to stay in your community.
And plus, we've been there 51 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So going on 52. So it would really probably do us a disservice to move. But if another space was to open up in the shopping center that we could maybe acquire, maybe we could have dining. Because essentially what we would love is, my original plan was to be able to have people come into the store and sit and eat ice cream with their kids and take them there after they went to church on Sunday.
Right.
The original business was never open on Sundays. And I decided, because it's such a great day to eat dessert, Sunday's people's cheat day.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go to church and you
You're getting
leave,
off the diet Sundays a day.
I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, Sunday we're going to open. We'll have limited hours. But that's the day that I eat dessert. So I figured, why wouldn't other people? So it has really helped with, you know, the whole sales just being open on Sunday. It's just one more day people can come shop for us.
And then you're open later in the day now too, right?
Yes, we changed our hours to kind of reflect that we sell dessert. I mean, that's what we are. We're a dessert shop. So essentially we open now Monday through Thursday from 10 to 8, Friday and Saturday 10 to 10,
Really?
and Sunday from 12 to 8.
So you're open till 8 o'clock at least every night?
Correct.
So you are a dessert shop.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
make people realize.
That's
that
probably the bigger shift, because you're not breads. You're not, I mean, sure you have some, but
it's limited. It's a limited. I mean, it's Parker House rolls. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one bread.
Yeah.
And we do sell them on Friday. Well, you can come into the store on Friday, or we recommend ordering ahead because we make a limited amount. But most Fridays you can walk in and buy a dozen. If it is a holiday, I do try to increase that, because just based on demand. But really, we will not have Parker House readily available until Thanksgiving, because that's the month that people really desire them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's neat that you actually are in the bakery working all the time. Obviously, you have a passion for it, or she wouldn't have bought it.
She is obviously excited
I've seen
about
the
this.
scars on your hands from the burns.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You're working in the kitchen.
And the horror stories of actually working in the kitchen. And I just have to say that made the right choice selling to you. And I think that's really neat, because some people buy businesses to kind of have, and they hover. They're executives. They don't want to get their hands dirty.
Yep.
You're in it, and you're in it to make sure the customer is always happy.
And your energy and passion you just exude it about that business.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And when I was on the phone with her setting up this interview, I actually said, well, so you and your husband bought this business? She says, it's actually my business. My husband's my employee. And I thought it was hysterical. I was like, that is absolutely. And the more I get to know you, like, that's exactly who
that's the
Tricia
way it
is.
should be.
That's absolutely the way it should be.
He thinks that's funny too.
Oh,
Good. Well, maybe we'll have him on sometime too, because he's still doing construction, right?
We are. I think he's kind of taken a break. Yes, his intention is definitely to do something in the construction, whether it's find a project and build it out, or.
So is he working in the shop with you?
He
on a regular
works.
basis?
Yes. So normally I work in the bakery in the morning and in the kitchen, essentially, and then he comes in and does the ice cream in the afternoon. So we kind of split the shifts, only because it works out better for our schedule.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said before, it's difficult to be husband and wife and work together. So I tend to find that if we're in this kitchen at the same time, he tries to say, oh, well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that?
Sure.
And it aggravates me.
What?
So I have to remind him that I don't work for him.
Yeah, that's right.
And we laugh about it, and he knows. I mean, he looks at me and he's like, "Okay, you're right. It's your kitchen."
What, they call you boss lady? You said?
do.
So
They call me
make
boss
him just
lady.
say, listen, just call me boss lady from now on.
I wish.
When you're in my shop, you call me boss lady.
It's funny because he chooses sometimes. Like if the girls come and they say, "Hey, Troy, where do we put this?" And he'll say, "I don't know. I'm not the boss. You got to go ask the boss lady."
Yeah.
And they'll come to me. And then other times he'll say, "Oh, do this," and I'll look at him and I'll go, "Wait, you can't pick and choose."
You're in or out.
There you go.
Wow.
So
All right, so let's wrap it up. Let's tell the audience if they want to find you, the best way to find you, location, email address, or website, whatever you got.
the address is 3213 Curry Ford Road, and it is at the corner of Curry Ford and Crystal Lake.
Right next to
Clemens Produce.
Clemens Produce. Yes.
That's actually at the opposite end of the shopping center, but yes, that is the landmark that people seem to know. Daybreak Diner's also in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The old post office.
The old post
yeah.
office, the
Little
comic book
Caesars
stores.
is Little Caesars still in the parking
Nope.
lot?
No,
They used to be there. Yeah. I'm
And-
old.
I mean, the staple businesses are, I think, Daybreak Diner, Clemens Produce, us. There's some smaller shops.
Yes.
Obviously, not to say that they're not as important.
Sure.
They just haven't been there as long. People don't recognize their names right off the bat. But our website is charliesbakery.com. And that's our...
Awesome. Well, we're going to put all that information in the liner notes too. And I'm so excited you were here. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I'm
Man.
excited to have met you. I love your energy, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. And thanks, Dr. Joe, for the intro.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Joe.
I would like to say one more thing. I would like to say that don't be afraid to become an entrepreneur just because you don't have a college education.
Oh, good point.
I really believe that's not what it takes to be successful. I came from essentially no education, if you want to consider a high, 10th grade, halfway. But if you have the desire to learn and you have the work ethic that you need to be successful, and you have to be financially disciplined. Those are the only three things you need. I think the biggest problem is fear. People are scared to take that chance or that leap, and I don't think that they should be as scared. I think that education is important for certain jobs, but if you are just going to be a lawn guy or drywall, you can do it without a college education.
Here.
Don't be scared.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
I love that idea.
But financial discipline is probably the number one out of all those. Hard work is
Yeah.
secondary, but if you cannot save the money, and
Yeah.
it's going to be challenging.
But if you have the passion, if you have the wherewithal, some people just aren't meant for college and for school. It's just, I have one child who graduated summa cum laude, lots of degrees. I have one child who is the hardest worker that I know. And he went to college, but it wasn't the same level but they're both equally successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just how bad you want it. And I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be able to pay my bills on time. And I wanted to be able to eat whatever I wanted without worrying about the cost. And I wanted to never depend on anybody for my own success. So I put all of the things aside that you can use as an excuse and said, just do it. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Just take a leap of faith in yourself. And if you work hard and you save your money, you can really do anything. It is the land of opportunity.
Absolutely.
I mean, your own worst enemy is yourself.
And you create your own
Very
luck.
true.
There's an old saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
And I do believe that Troy and I have been so successful because we never quit. And every single time you have an obstacle in your way, you just say, okay, this door's shut, but one more door will open. And if you stay true to who you are and you stay, I think, honest about what you want and how you want to serve people, what type of business owner you want to be, what kind of reputation you want to just tell that customer to take a hike and that you don't care about it. And, sometimes you might actually think that, but you shouldn't probably go through with
You
that.
dare not do it. Yeah.
Figure out a way to make it work, so that it comes out with an amicable situation. But
Well, I said earlier, it was a great choice for you to buy it. It's the Charlie's Bakery. It was a great choice for them to sell to you. I can't see this business doing nothing but grow and succeed.
Well, that's what we want.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen too.
I'm glad to get to meet you and to know you, and I'm really so happy you were able to come on the show today.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
I'll try to get Troy on here.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, well, thanks everyone for listening. It was a great show. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.